Hi everyone, this is Eric from XP, and we are back today with a video on introducing the last version we shared last week, XP 120. So this video is going to demonstrate few important stuff that we change in the workflow, and it's also the opportunity for us to remind some best practice when working with XP in general. And then we're going to conclude this video by introducing a new feature, a new device that will be added to the package xp.source.pan. So let's get started. First of all, also we're going to make this video in English. Most of the time it's easier for us to make a video in French because the content is more precise, but it's also fine sometimes to shift to English. But just have in mind that the precision and the details are not as good as it's in our mother language. So let's get started with this video then. We're going to start with a project already saved with XP 115, and to explain what has changed and also the process to install the new version. So we are there with this project, and you recognize, of course, the workflow, visual engine, source 1, source 2, and a few groups and the room. And this project is saved like this. And then we're going to close this project and install the new package, because there are few stuff that have changed that we need to explain you in reason of the consequence that could have on your current project. So let's close this project, and you know that in Ableton, it's also something that we discuss. You can't close a project. To close a project, you have to make new live sets. So let's do this. I'm going just to check quickly how's going my record here. It's also it's good. On Mac, at least, for any application, you can duplicate the application and have several instances running. And this is what I'm doing right now. It's just because as we might close Ableton, where I'm recording the vocals, I just copy the instance, and one of those is dedicated to the record, and the other one the demonstration. Anyway, that was a digression. So let's install XP 120. So you recognize the package. Sorry, if, Windows users, it's pretty much the same for you, but we are on Mac today. And by the way, we're using right now a Mac Mini 2020 M1. A very good machine for the price, honestly. So you recognize the package, and you have the device here and the standalone. So let's first of all, let's install the standalone. Sometime before doing this, it could be also better just to delete the previous instance, just to make sure nothing bad happened, like it replaced, but kind of weird stuff. So I prefer in general to delete the previous version, and we can keep installing the new application. And typing the code, and I would like to apologize for the fact that the online update system is still a bit buggy. It remains uncertain for some reasons I could detail later. But so I would really advise you to download the package from your user account and follow what I'm doing now. It's maybe the most sure path to have a clean install. So right now we have the last application installed already. What we can do now is to copy all the device into our XP device folder where they are the previous one. We can just delete those. As I told you already, it's really important to be sure to have just one instance of Max for Last device. especially for systems that got updated quite often and that are connected to the application. Each XP device is meant to work with the corresponding application. So it's very important for you to have this in mind when working with XP. So what I have here is just I have a folder where I'm going to replace each time the previous device by the new one. And then we all set. Let's go back to Ableton, and we can open the last project we just saved, or it was already saved, 115, and to get a look on how it looks right now. So it opened exactly the same project. We are on 120 on this side, it's all good, and here you can see it's 120. But maybe you didn't notice, but few stuff have changed. First of all, let's describe few important stuff on the standalone itself. The main reason of this update was about shifting for the visual rendering system used by MaxMSP, which is the last version is GL Core, which standing for GL3. It's the most recent up-to-date OpenGL version implemented, and in XP we were using an old system, like a couple of years old already, and it was very time for us to move forward on this, and it involved a lot of work because the way it's working has changed. Also on the Mac side, it's more clear now. It's a bit more messy at several levels, and the GL Core rendering engine is extremely interesting. But the main reason of this update was this, and even if it looks a bit the same for you, the rendering processing, it's a bit different, and also inside the code itself we have to refactory a lot of stuff, but it also looks a bit better now. I think it looks better. It also offers to XP perspective of a brighter future, if I could say. It means that we will be able to incorporate extremely interesting future taking advantage of GL Core rendering, and we're looking forward to work on this in the future. That's it for the GL Core part. And what also changed, which is very important, is the way it's working with Ableton. So some people sometimes seems to forget that with XP we're not staying only in Ableton. When you open a project, and maybe it's because we did a great job in this, when you add XP Visual, you actually open a side application, and it's for the success of the project, it's important to manage to remain as much as possible connected to Ableton, of course, because we are sharing data in between. So it's not a VST, it's Max for Live and a standalone, and it has a lot of benefits but a lot of constraints, and lately for some reason we've been facing different issues, especially on M2, which wasn't really for macOS, wasn't really much supported for those reasons. It's because the instancing of the tracks was failing actually. So sometimes when you open a project that you have saved, you would lost the name of the tracks in there. So we spent a lot of time on this update to refactory basically almost all the code inside the standalone, but also inside the device, to guarantee that now this is fixed. So when you save the project, you're not losing the name of the tracks, and you're not losing any kind of other important parameter. Which means that we change also the way the group is indexed. In the past version, group 0 was like the the mother group inside which all the scene was rendered. But now group 0 is not anymore, and we start from group 1 and up to group 5, and the same happened to room. Actually, not room was already started from room 1, but some detail change. But the most important stuff, it's like, if you remember on the first, you can move backwards to see, but we had the group 0, and the group 0 became group 1. So when you will attempt to open a saved project made with XP 115 and open it with XP 120, this should change. There's also a risk that the name, the index of your track has been reset. It would, if you save this, it would do this one time and not anymore. So it's not that bad actually, because what's important is the path and the data that are correctly sent to the application, and this is totally safe. So that's very important. And you can see here group 2, and there are a few differences, especially for the group number and the room. Also, if you delete the room here, the engine display, there is no room. It's actually, there is one room, but there is no room that you can interact with. It doesn't mean that there is no reverb on each source. So we'll go forward on this later. But I wanted to move back to the standalone. Now we have been discussing this to show you a few details that have changed also. If you go on XP, normally we change a bit how it's working on the UI. So now you can move the windows, all of those where you have all the information, your personal information. Also the deactivation, it's the same. Now you can move the window. What changed also is like the documentation that you can find on help menu. Is not installed anymore on the local machine. We put everything online. When we start to work on XP, we really wanted to provide a project where people can work even without internet connection. So we decided that you should have the documentation on your machine in any context. It actually involves a lot of work on our side to keep this update. It's easier, it's more streamlined if we just keep update the documentation online, and anytime you just anticipate the moment you don't have the context where you will not be able to have internet, and be sure to download the last version. It's also helps. It gives us more flexibility to keep everything up to date. So I think it's a good decision for the future of the project. The check for update, I'm not on the internet right now. The check for update works well. What doesn't work is when you've been proposed to update online, and this is still not uncertain. Sometimes it's going to work, sometimes no, depending of permissions of your login. It's a very touchy subject, and we should invest more time on this in the future to provide you with a very smooth process, which is not the case for now. So many apologize about this. But what we don't do anymore is to check the update on launch. So it's going to, it's going to remove something annoying when you don't want to update. We didn't find yet the good solution on this, but we are making progress. Okay, so that's the standalone topics. One more stuff. It's here from so let's go here on the Ableton, and then if you go back on the menu here, you will find on the view you have the normal view that you are familiar with. And we added a new one, which is the listener view. It's a feature in XP that is very, according to us, very underrated. It's a way to be able to render the audio scene accordingly two modes, the scene mode or the listener view mode. And you know that you can do this from XP Visual, but we add this now on the menu as well. And if you go there, so the same scene is rendered through a different mode, which is super cool because maybe it gives more visibility to this feature. And when you do this, you can see here you change the visual modes as well, and you can move back on this. And pretty much that's how it works. What else? That was an important move for us on this feature. So now we are here. We can go to check the visual what changed. If you take XP Visual, a very small detail but was important for Windows user. We added this mouse shortcut. So if you disable the mouse, you disable the capacity to interact with the window. For Mac user, it wasn't so important because when you move the window, it's the way it's implemented. Mac is implemented in a different system. On Windows, when you move this, if you don't disable the mouse, it's going to move the entire scene at the same time. It's probably a weakness. I'm not sure about XP or Macs in general, but it was very annoying. So it was an important detail to add, and you can just add a shortcut on it. And anytime you want to disable the mouse, you just activate it. Of course, you have to be it on Windows, but that's the idea behind that. What else on this side? So we change here the icon to change the menu. Nothing changed in this page, and nothing's changed in this page. Yep, nothing changed on this page. If we go on engine, not much change, few details in the monitoring part, also the way we display the information, and the fact that if you don't load a room device concretely, the room index will be displayed as 0. As I said before, it doesn't mean there is no room current, the default room loaded by SPAT, but there is no device itself. Remember that autofill helps you to automatically route the output, so it's important to have it checked in there. The custom layout interface is it remains a bit useful for some context, but it's a bit depreciated since we released a loudspeaker designer device, XP LSD. So for now, we have kept it. We have kept also changed the UI of this part, so you can move it. But of course, it's going to be less and less very helpful. So it might be entirely removed in the future. Remember that you change binaural and sound field display and rendering here. So of course, if you go back here, if you go in listener view, kind of VR view, it's better to work with binaural. So then you can use binaural rendering with headphones, and also you can, as we demonstrated in the past with our tutorial on head tracking, you can enable the head tracking stuff here. Everything is explained in this video. Let's go back to this scene mode. Okay, so now we are going to explain what changed for the source. We added a little feature. It's like it's a line, just to that link the point to the center of the view. I think it's pretty cool. You can. It's really not super important, but it looks great. So why not? Um, Few stuff has also changed. Have we recently post about the way we give a name in this place? You have to put the alias that's going to replace the name here in this field, and click on S, and then it's going to set the name instead. Before it was working, but it was a bit messy on the code side. Now we have a clear system, so that's for good. What else changed also on the last device? Maybe we can just show you this. I take a new source, and unlike on the previous version, by default, the source will have the sound enabled. In the past, it was muted, like we see here, it was muted. It's because those ones have been saved from a previous device. But if you use the new device, if you create a project from scratch, it is going to be loaded as default with the left channel enabled. So be aware of that. For now, XP is still mono sound point, but we are working on few stuff, and hopefully in the future it's going to change. But we can't really reveal too much on this right now. A lot of stuff is going to change in the future for good, hopefully. Let's go back on our source, my name here. What changed? What is important? It's the way we instantiate group and room. We're using now a more solid code using JavaScript, and if you open the device, you will see a lot of difference. We are trying to involve more and more solid routine in the way we instantiate all the parameters. So it takes time, but it's going to the right direction. So this had changed. And probably I'm seeing this, it's like because those guys were saved, were created in the XP 115, you probably will have to reselect to which group you need to assign them. So if you are, yeah, that's also another problem. If you have been created automation, let's say, to assign to group 0, that might be that may lead to some issue. So probably you will have to rework the group side of the project. If you take a new source here, the new source will display correctly all the group, but the previous one will display empty group. It's because it didn't save the information with the state of the device. So that's an important change to be aware of. Probably for the room is going to be the same. Let's go back to the room, the source. Excuse me. Something we have fixed is the way it displayed the Cartesian and polar system on load. You know, in XP you can decide to work in polar coordinate or XYZ coordinate, and if you were working with XYZ on load, it would shift to polar. So you will need to go to iterate through all sources and select again. And now, if we save this, source 1 is in Cartesian, and we close the project and reopen, we expect that the source display the right coordinate system. So let's get a look. All right, it looks fine. That's a good news. That's a good news. Okay. Important stuff as well as we are working in Cartesian. So we introduce with this version, I'm putting whatever sound. We introduce in this version the possibility for you to record the automation coming from the animation generated by the standalone. In short, remember that if you navigate through the source menu, you have like the animation modules that are here that you can use to move the source in real time. There's different of those. Probably you already test them. It might be frustrating to not be able to reproduce them correctly. So we decided to offer the possibility for you to record these patterns as an automation. And this only can be done using the Cartesian system. So if we are back, go back to the source, you can see that as soon you enable an animation, you can't move it manually to secure the system. But here you can see there is a A for automation, and you can enable this A. And what's doing this A? It takes the value as an input for those fields. So we are now ready to record this as an automation. Let's see. We go back here. We have to set record. Let's see what it's doing. Apparently, it's recording the automation. Okay, we stop, go back. If we go back to the source to cut the animation here, and if we play the clip, it's moving by itself. Like the automation. Where is it's there. Okay. So that's the idea. And then you can whatever export or use this as a basis to make more crazy stuff if you want, like this. I guess you got the idea. And so you can use this technique with all the animation you have here. And you can use it. We just record it as automation for clip, but you can use it to record automation on the arrangement side. Hope it's clear for everyone. Probably it's a very, very funny feature for the future. One thing that costs a lot of CPU in XP, it's the automation. And I would like to take the opportunity to remind you that you can reduce drastically this by opening the OSS speed panel and just watch the CPU as I'm doing it, but you can enable both and then we can demonstrate why the mouse could be interesting. You can reduce here. So you're losing a bit of resolution. As you can see, it's a bit more laggy, of course. But it helps you to reduce the CPU usage. Could be interesting, depending on your computer behavior or what it can handle. It really depends. We will try to improve performance with automation in the future. That's really the most costly part. It's not so much related to XP itself, but the way instead the speed the speed at which the spat is working and taking data in OSC sometimes it's loading the CPU for that reason. It's really like on, I think, on the DSP side. Okay. What else? Go back to the source. Maybe we can stop this for now. If we go back to the Polar, it should stop all the automation. Another very important stuff that's super interesting. Is that we introduce a better way to manage sound attenuation in XP. Honestly, it was something that has never been super satisfying on our side. The way we were managing the sound attenuation for some reason. So let's go back. Let's delete this so we can really just focus on this feature for now. We're going to reset the position. So we have our track, our sound point here. And you know that with XP, it's because of the spat. If you move the sound in space, it's going to reduce the direct signal that is not that is pan. And more you go into the distance, more you have in terms of balance, more you have reverb over the direct sound, right? It's like as if you were moving away a point in space. It's very in the perceptual aspect of the sound. So I think we think that it's a very, very cool, unique approach provided thanks to the spat. It's very, very interesting. And but this the way the direct sound is modified by moving in the distance could be changed using what we call the drop factor and the radius. So it was already working in the past version, but it wasn't super straightforward. It's because the way we implemented was using the way it was implemented in native spat in Max, and it was in there. It was also not super intuitive, but we changed that fortunately, and now probably I'm going to try to share another video to demonstrate this with sound, because right now for some reason the way I organize my session, I can't reproduce the sound correctly. So I will share later videos to illustrate what I'm saying. So if you want to change the attenuation sound rule in your project, you change here and watch also the viewer when I'm doing this. You change the radius. The radius is actually from where the sound attenuation is going to start. So if I put my radius over there, the sound attenuation is going to start when my distance goes beyond this radius. And when it goes beyond this radius, it's going to apply a drop rule to tell how much level of direct sound we are losing. So this way you can say, for instance, to not have at all attenuation. So there is no attenuation when you move this. Or you can say also to have attenuation until there. Sorry, the opposite. No attenuation from there, and then a very hard attenuation until there. So it's very depending on the sound, the way you want to reproduce it on your sound scene. But it could be very interesting to explore what you can provide to your work. So we changed that, and it was very important. You can also use a logarithmic rule or linear rule for the drop factor. So all of those parameters are really linked to how spat work in general. So you have the attenuation, and you can set this attenuation. And you can also decide to not have attenuation at all. By the way, if you want just to never go on the distance, then never use the distance and just play on these two parameters, and then you will have like a, let's say, a standard panner. But we'll go back to this very soon when we're going to introduce xp.source.pan. Okay, that was the very important feature that we introduced on this version. I'm checking my list of what changed. What changed here also, it's like a few details, but we had some missing parameters saved with the state of the device when you were saving a project, and we pretty much fixed most of them. We've been aware of, thanks to the users we've been reporting. So that was also very important to fix that. Okay. Automation, attenuation. So on the group, it didn't change so much. It's just the way it's working now is it's more solid, and also we can something that we fix. Even if you were working, let me add another source so we can see what it's doing. So let's say you set an animation like that using the group, the rota from the group. In the past version, it's saved already. In the past version, this wouldn't be saved. The init here, like the enable init, wouldn't be saved. But this is fixed now. So in theory, I expect that if I reopen the project, it should display the group moving. It's just that the button is not updated here. So probably you notice, but when you open back a project, you have quickly the display of the attenuation. We're going to try to improve this in the future, but for now, just bear with this. As I'm here closing, opening a project, a good practice to have in XP. In general, it's connected to what I said before. It's not a VST, it's a standalone. What we do when we work with XP, to close a project and to reopen another one or something else, you just do, you can of course close Ableton directly, but just if you want to reopen another project, just do new project. So to make sure that XP has closed, right? And then you can reopen whatever. But don't try, I wouldn't recommend to try to open a project involving XP without closing the current one you are working on. That's an important one to be aware of. Okay, group one. We can stop this guy, go back, reset. Are we all set with this guy for now? Probably. Let me check my list. That's pretty much it. And I would like just to show you something. I'm going to open whatever device to show you what changed, what it's important. For those who are familiar with Macs, you can of course open and modify if you want to. You can provide modification as long as it doesn't affect the part that connect to the standalone. But what changed in the device are located in this guy. And if you open the previous instancing XP system, you will see different more stuff here, and all the code also change. We try to improve this. So my point is like even though there are not so many new feature involved, a lot of stuff have changed. That's why we move directly from 115 to 120. Few parts we can't guarantee the continuity of the of every parameter. So supposedly we could have claimed another version, but it's not. It's not also not really a new version. So that's why we decide to move to 120. But you need to be aware of the few stuff that could happen when you open an old project with the new version. For most of it, for the experience we know about, you wouldn't lose too much, but you have to be aware of such details. Okay, so as we are now, we're going to introduce you a new tool, a new probably our future favorite tool. It's already our new favorite one. It's something that we really didn't want to provide at the beginning of the project, because this project was meant for live performance. So we wanted to people, unlike what was the tradition of working with spatial audio was to work with mouse and screen and stuff like that, and we wanted to provide a system where people would work mostly with controls, MIDI assignation and stuff like that. But as the project has evolved and we have now a growing community, I think it was time to introduce a new device that's going to help you for numerous of tasks. And it's also a funny one. It's a classical one, but I don't know. It's probably we change our mind on this one. So let's introduce you xp.source.pan, and I'm going to put it. I'm going to just delete this source. Let's say you create a source in there. I'm going to show you entirely how it's works. So the way in general you want to move your source point is to use Cartesian or polar coordinates to move the source in 3D, or to use the animation. And what does xp.source.pan, and we're going to add it to the project, and you'll see it's going to create an elegant, beautiful blue UI for you to play with. So you recognize it because it's of course a classical format for spatial audio. It's made of by default a top view on the scene. Let's say it's pretty much the same as this. And if I take my source here, oh, guys, I made a mistake. It's not that it's not working, but it's, it's direct video. It's like, it's because we have to update the source. So we're going to create a new source object, but using the updated version. And then we take our source.pan device that we're going to put on the project. Here we are. And let's move our point now. How beautiful is that? Right? It's pretty much very convenient stuff, especially to record automation, because of course you can record all the automation directly. It's going to be super intuitive. So as you move the point, you move the view here. Let's go back on the 3D because it's something that I personally prefer. So you can move the point in space, and as you move the point in space, you move the coordinate here, and those guys are the ones that are saved as automation. So what kind of other features we have on this? First of all, we can shift between Cartesian and polar coordinate, so it's up to you. Here we have X and Y. And you probably you're going to say, yeah, but where is the Z? And the Z is on another view here. We are on the single mode here, and let's see. And this is the dual mode. And on dual mode, you have here the distance azimuth, and here you have elevation and distance. So that's a combination of both. That's why the 3D is important in XP. The representation of a point in 3D is not super intuitive, especially for me. I don't know, for some reason. And this UI helps you maybe to position the point and with a certain type of representation. So you can change between polar and Cartesian, and here, because you know the area of XP it's 10 by 10. This menu, this button here, change the scaling. So here you're using a large scale covering the entire surface of the area. This is the half space, so maximum is 5, and this one it's not half, it's not 2, it's 3.5. Okay, you could say why 3.5? Because we think it's an interesting range to be able to move between 3.5 and 1, reminding you that going inside the sphere it's not super well simulate for now using SPAT, so we stay outside of the sphere, and that's cool. I think it's a pretty cool system. And if you there's few limitations. It's like if you use this guy, the generative stuff, is not going to push the value to the UI. It's really meant for the manual control. The idea behind, like, we could of course retrieve the value and display, but we have to be aware of trying to save as much as CPU as possible regarding the interest it would provide. And we decide that if you use the generative engine here, you already have like a visualization there, and this is very much more for you working with automation or doing stuff during your composition, give you more like a intuitive approach how to position sound, not using the procedural stuff where we all know that there is a bit of chance and stuff like that. Anyways, that's one of the limit of the tool. Otherwise, it's a very good, good stuff. It's very funny. I think he has much power. And speaking of which, if you see, we have this guy, we have this guy now, and probably in the future, XP is going to move towards more modularity like this. We can't reveal everything yet, but there is already few initiative that's going to make the workflow smoother and maybe more adapted to everyone needs, saving unnecessary resources of your machine and stuff like that. I think that's it for now. So what I have to remember from this session is like to make a short demo video for the sound attenuation to explain you with more concrete example how the idea behind that. And I'm going to leave you with this video. I hope you did find this very useful. For people who already have XP, the package, as I'm talking, is not updated yet, but it's going to be updated in few days. So maybe by next Monday, early next week, you will have xp.source.pan in your package. So we don't make a new update for this one because it's not necessary. I forgot to demonstrate that, of course, if you want to have if you want to have more source pan on a different source, you have to add more of these, etc., etc. It's really like it's inspired by the typical panner system. So I'm pretty sure you know what it is about. No surprise here, but a very useful tool. Anyways, I have to find a way to finish this video, so I would like to say Have a good day, good weekend, and let's keep in touch for the following part of the project. Ciao.